You there, Shakil? Okay, let's wait. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shakil, you're still there? Seems nobody there.
Hello. Hi. Good morning. Good
Good
evening.
evening. Okay. So how's your practice, Shakil? Weekends?
Sir, I did just very little. I was busy I have an interview tomorrow, so
Oh,
I was working on it. I got an interview after a very long time.
okay.
Hmm.
That is in networking?
Yes, networking.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Ashwini. How's your practice, Ashwini, in weekends?
Yeah, it was good. I
Good.
did practice.
Any doubt when you're practicing?
Uh, so I tried with talent multiple times, but getting some error while putting, and rest are working fine, like SSH and EC2 instance that worked. With
Telnet,
putty, I think some other
no,
issues
with
getting
Telnet,
different error.
you no need to connect even. It's not even needed. You just need SSH. SSH is working, right?
Right, right. Others two are working fine. So I can say, yeah, it was good session for my side. Yeah.
So you are now able to understand
Yes.
AWS. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looks easy one. Yes.
yeah, easy only. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying. If you'll practice, it will look much easier. And the
Yeah,
way
that's right. Also learning some Linux command with this because I didn't have any Linux exposure,
yeah, right,
anything before this.
right. Okay. So all the commands which I covered till now, is it familiar? Are you able to practice those? Create directories, list files and all?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Most of it.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So one more thing on commands, like when we log in via the SSH and running command AWS IAM list users, after that it's stuck. See, it's showing and after that my command is not working. Like I'm not able to type it. I have to exit. I'm not sure why.
Can you show it where you're stuck?
Uh, I can show you, but it will take 2 or 3 minutes. I've not
That's
started with.
show it. Otherwise, your lab will be stuck, right?
Uh, no, I have to, log in again. That's the only way. Let me
So if you
try.
can sort out by your own, it's fine. Otherwise, if you want to just show it, I'll
No,
be able to help you.
just a question like once you log in via the SSH, okay, after running the command, list user is shown there, okay, but when we put enter multiple time, it's stuck. And to exit it, I have to press Control C like that, and after Control C, it keyboard is not working. So I have to relog in the session.
Ideally, it should not. Right. So
Right.
there could be some other reasons for which your session is stuck, but ideally you saw me when I was doing it, right? I was not stuck anywhere. So ideally it
Right,
should
right,
not.
right.
So maybe because some other reason, if you can show me, I can help you.
Okay, yeah, let me try to log in now.
So what normally they ask in network interview, Shakil?
Sir, every interview is different, but mostly it's actually the BGP stuff that they ask you. If we're talking about routing, then they ask BGP, OSPF mainly.
Border Gateway Protocol, is it?
Yes. And then on the switching part, they ask you HSRP, Ether channel, STP. So this is what they ask on the switching side, and then some IPsec. IPsec is always asked. It's a very, very important topic.
Yeah,
IPsec VPN.
yeah, yeah.
And they can go very deep into it. And then depending on what kind of job it is they ask SSL and TLS handshake.
Yeah, I understand. Because networking is a kind of very critical component for any of the industry now.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like you
Yeah,
can like nobody can cover this completely all the way. So there's always something missing, but I'm always working on it. So right now, taking SD-WAN training with Pankaj sir.
okay.
Yeah, last interview they asked a lot of SD-WAN questions also, very heavily on SD-WAN. It
Mm,
went good, but then they disappeared, and this has been going on for a very long time. They just don't come back to you and give you the updates on it,
yeah,
whether you've been selected or not. So two rounds of interview, and then they disappeared after committing yes that you've been selected. They did said that you're selected now after the second round, and then they disappeared. Very common thing that's been happening here in US.
yeah, I understand. Yeah, so sharing, Ashwini?
So I'm sharing my snapshot on this chat. Just a second, I'm just logging.
I don't think you will be able to share a snapshot in chat.
No?
They won't allow you to
Okay.
attach.
Even I cannot share my screen. Yeah, let me try. Select window screen. Okay, it's a
Sharing
window. Window browser. Okay, entire screen and allow. Let me know, sir, once you see my
Yeah,
screen.
you can see it. I can see it.
Great.
Click on security. Why did you create 3 different instances?
Just for practice, or you want to connecting? Yes.
Okay. Permission denied. So we don't have
I
permissions.
think I have to, take the PAM and that one. Yes, I understand. PAM issue.
No PAM issue. You have that security group issue.
We don't have to in the same group.
Go back to your instance. Third tab.
Yes, login.
Yeah, where it's stuck.
It is stuck. Let me try and list users. So now it is stuck. See, I cannot go further.
No, you have the prompt output, no? So it's kind of file which it's opening. If you press Control C, you'll come out of it. You are in AWS instance.
Okay.
So it's opening the content and it's displaying you the content in a file.
Okay,
So
now Control C.
yeah, press Control C. See, it came out.
But after that, my keypad is not working. Like I cannot able to, text.
Just type something.
I'm typing, it is not taking. Stuck here.
This is weird.
Yes. So I have to, log in again.
Okay, this should not happen.
Yes, it is. See, I'm typing, but it was not showing. But once I, again start, it will showing. Let
No,
me.
type again now.
Do I need to CD enter? CD enter.
Oh, so it's working. See, enter if you when you're typing enter, it's working,
But
but
I
it's not.
can't see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's weird. So
yeah.
just okay, just see when you typed CD, it actually gave
It
you.
working. Yeah, it's not showing to me.
It's not showing to you. It's not displaying anything on the screen. Oh,
It's okay, sir.
this is typical. Okay, maybe let's see. Yeah, maybe I don't know the solution for this at this point because
Okay, no issue.
it seems something which is you are able to enter into EC2 instance. You're able
Mm-hmm.
to type everything, but when you're typing, it's not visible. Could be some display issue of your either machine or instance. Not sure.
And so I'm logging by the official laptop. That can be
No, no,
maybe
that should
some.
no, that should not be the reason. It's some display settings maybe of your
Okay,
laptop.
okay.
Okay, but I'm
Yeah,
glad you are able to see these things.
yeah.
Okay,
I practice.
good. Okay, so now let me quickly share my screen.
Yes, sir. I'm waiting DevOps to start soon.
This week, I think I'll be able to complete everything, whatever you need to know in
Okay.
AWS,
Mm-hmm.
because some important topics. I don't think I'll take entire week. Maybe more 3 to 4 sessions I'll take to complete
Mm-hmm.
AWS. It's like today I'll show you what is scaling and all. And next, what I'll show you is load balancer. And after load balancer, I'll show you launch configuration, and that's it. After that,
Mm-hmm.
we'll move into DevOps. So maybe by end of this week or by beginning of next week, max, we'll move into DevOps topics.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
fair enough. Okay, so now in today's session, we'll talk about scalability and high availability. Let's first understand what is the need of scalability? What is the need of high availability? Now let's understand with some real-time examples. Now consider that AWS or any customer took some because now we are talking only in AWS terms. I'll talk more about the company's usage of infrastructure in AWS terms, or maybe in networking terms, so that you can better understand, or maybe the application deployment perspective, which you can better understand. Because we, being a customer, mostly uses application which is hosted by some of the other clients, some of the other vendors. For example, if I talk about Amazon.com or Netflix.com, or maybe some of the some of the website which is hosting video content, or maybe some of the website which is hosting some gaming content, because these are very customer attracting applications, customer attracting websites. It could be anything, especially e-commerce website, or your video content website, or gaming content website attracts lots of customers very fastly. Now consider that uh, it's a e-commerce website which is abc.com, and this abc.com is having, say, total number of customers as 10,000. Maybe I can just create some nodes parallelly, and then if I'll just talk about it, it will be easier so that you can also see in my notepad. So consider that there is a website, and that website, that application, e-commerce application is say maybe abc.com. Consider this is a website. This is one e-commerce website. Now this e-commerce website is accessible over internet by using abc.com, and at any regular days, at any normal days, they have count of 100 customers. 100 customers they have count of on regular days. Now we do have festive season approaching. We have Christmas coming. We have New Year coming, and it's a kind of celebration season. It's a kind of celebration days for everyone across the world. On festive seasons, we purchase more. We go more onto these e-commerce website and try to access various products which is present in this website. We try to purchase something to gift ourselves, to gift our friends, relatives, and all. So we go to e-commerce website a lot in such festive occasions. So now what happens in case of say normal days when this e-commerce website had 100 customers, e-commerce website was easily able to run 10 with 10 EC2 instances. With 10 EC2 instances, e-commerce website was able to manage 100 customers, because with 10 EC2 customers, whatever requirement was there for 100 customers was getting fulfilled. Now festive season is coming. With festive season, this 100 customers scaled up to 10,000 customers. Scaled up to 10,000 customers. Now, 10 EC2 instance was good enough to handle 100 customers, but 10 EC2 instance will not be good enough to handle 10,000 customers. What will happen in such situation is EC2 instance will break down and will not be able to handle requirements or transactions or queries which is done by 10,000s of customers. So in that case, what abc.com need? abc.com needs to scale up. They need to scale up. And in order to scale up, instead of say 10 customers, they is 10 EC2 instances, perhaps they need 100 EC2 instances. I'm just giving a rough figure. 100 to EC2 instances. Now, 100 EC2 instances will be able to manage 10,000 customers pretty much easily. Now, consider this is the requirement. This is the situation with customer, which is this is the condition with e-commerce website, which is abc.com. Now we are talking about scaling up. We are talking about increase the count or increasing the infrastructure much rapidly in a kind of faster pace as customer goes high. Now, there are two ways to do that. First way is as customer count will go high, there will be a monitoring agent or there will be some individual who will be sitting, there will be monitoring team which abc.com has hired, and that monitoring team's job is only to keep a track of how many new customers are getting added, how the traffic is increasing, so on and so forth. For that, abc.com has to create a separate team, perhaps hire 10 different resources, and that 10 different resources is setting 24 cross 7 just to monitor the customer count. Now that is a kind of hectic task, and that used to happen nearly a decade ago when we did not had much of the automation in place. When all the companies were more into data center related infrastructure, quite the same thing was happening. Now they had a kind of separate team who were just monitoring applications with this working 24 cross 7 to monitor applications, to monitor the load on application, to monitor customer count, to monitor any outage like situation. But now since it's more the world of automation, same thing can happen in a kind of automated way. Now, what AWS says that I'll be able to set up some sort of metric, some sort of alarm, some sort of artificial intelligence, some sort of adaptability So that as your customer count goes high, my intelligence, my adaptability system will be able to sense more load on your infrastructure and will create and will provide you more instances, more virtual machines automatically. This process is called scalability. So what is scalability? So scalability basically talks about increase in count of EC2 instance from 10 to 100 as the customer count goes high from 100 to 10,000. And this happens with some sort of sense, some sort of automation. This process, this entire framework is called scalability, wherein scalability in terms of AWS we call as scale in and scale out. Scale out. So it's both the things. Scale in means reduction reduction in count of EC2 instances, and scale out means increase in count of EC2 instances. So now after festive season, when customer count again goes back to normal, that time we don't need 100 EC2 instances, because again, if we increase the count of EC2 instances from 10 to 100, that basically means 10 times the cost of infrastructure which customer has to bear will also increase 10 times. Now, in normal days, when we don't have that many customers, companies don't need those many of the EC2 instances. Company does not need that much revenue to be invested, that much cost to be spent to maintain their infrastructure. So they also want to roll back to previous situation wherein the EC2 instance count should be 10 instead of 100. That process is called scaling in. So intelligence works bidirectional. It is capable enough to reduce the count of EC2 instances from higher to lower. The process is called scale in, and also it is good enough to increase the count of EC2 instances from 10 to 100. That is called scale out. This entire concept is called scalability. I'll give a quick pause and it out in this. Okay, I'll take that as
All
no.
good.
Cool. Now, another thing is high availability, and this is again very important. Another thing is high availability. So, what is high availability? Another thing is high availability. So both the things are very much important when you are running a business, when any of the e-commerce site or any of the application is public, is web-based. High availability is very much important. Like the name says, it should be available all the time. Highly available system is high availability. So now consider that I live in India. I live in a place called Hyderabad in India. Hyderabad in India. Consider that AWS has its, and I'm just giving one example, or consider that abc.com has its one office in Hyderabad. Only consider that at this point of time, abc.com has its office only in Hyderabad. For some reason, there is a shutdown in Hyderabad. Something happened, some cause, some natural calamity happened, for some of the other reason, there is a shutdown in Hyderabad. Now, abc.com's office is shut down in Hyderabad. Now, what will happen? All the business which adbc.com was running from Hyderabad location is down. All servers, all offices goes down. But abc.com's customer may or may not be only from Hyderabad. ABC.com's customer could be from anywhere across India, from anywhere across US, from anywhere across the globe. They can have their business expanded, or they can have their customers who is trying to reach ABC.com from any place in the world, like Amazon.com. Amazon.com is a US based company, but they have customers in India also. They have customer there in different geographical locations also. Similarly, abc.com can have customers there in different places. They can have customers there in US, they can have their customers there in Delhi, they can have their customers there in Bangalore. Bangalore, or at different other places in the world. They can have customers from different places. But since Hyderabad is shut down, since Hyderabad office is not working, customers from all other regions are getting impacted. What is happening in result? ABC.com's business is completely shut down only because their office was present in one single location, which is in Hyderabad. Now, instead, what ABC.com could have done if ABC.com's business is not running only from Hyderabad, but its business is also running from a place which is called, say, Chandigarh. One is Hyderabad is in south, Chandigarh is in north. Chandigarh. Now, some natural calamity came in southern part of India. Something happened in southern part of India. Entire southern part of India is cut off. All everything, power, electricity, everything is cut off. But still, the northern part of India is safe. Now, since ABC.com is having their offices there in northern part of India also, now, what will happen? Customers from US, Delhi, southern part of India is anyways cut off, and any other places will be accessing its application from your Chandigarh's office. So what is happening? They are still highly available. If one geographical location is cut down for some other reason, still business is up and running fine. Still customers are able to access application from any other location, to which we call as high availability. Now in terms of AWS, what we will say, in terms of AWS we call it as availability zones. Availability availability zones. Now, what AWS does, AWS is very smart. In any geographical locations, AWS creates minimum of two data centers. Minimum two data centers in every geographical location. There can be more than two also. Like in US, especially in Ohio and in North Virginia, there are six data centers which AWS has created. But in India, they have only two data centers. One is in Mumbai and another is in Hyderabad. Two data centers are there. So now what is happening? Even though one location, Mumbai being a coastal place, goes down, Hyderabad is one of the safest place in India where we can have data centers present, because it's not closer to any sea belt. It is not closer to any of the mountain region. So nothing like some mountain fall can happen. Nothing like some flood can come. So it's very safe. So it's having multiple availability zones. This is called high available. For some reason, if one region, if one geographical zone, if one place where customer data is present goes down, still the customer's data is present in some other geographical region, some other zone, so that customers should not get impacted, right? So this is called high availability. In terms of AWS, it's called availability zone. We'll maintain multiple availability zone. We'll create any of our resources in multiple availability zone, so that even though for some reason customer is unable to access their applications or customer or vendor's application from one zone, it can get rolled over, it can fall back, it can go to some other zone also. Traffic can be routed pretty much easily, right? So this is called high availability. I'll give a quick pause. Any doubt in this? Okay, I'll take that as a
Yeah,
no.
I'm good.
It mean
So
when we consider HA means, for example, if we are creating any instance on the current data center, so do we need to also create the similar on the other location? I mean, like in example, you said Mumbai and Hyderabad.
yep, very good point. So consider that we do have one EC2 in one region, another EC2 in another region. Consider that this is Mumbai. Consider this is Hyderabad. Now this EC2 is hosting application abc.com, and abc.com's one product, which is watch. Same EC2 instance can host abc.com/watch. Yes, possible. So now what is happening? This customers from Mumbai is accessing now the regular traffic is the regular way is what abc.com does. All traffic from Mumbai is going to EC2 instance, which is present in Mumbai only because both contain same application. All traffic from Hyderabad is going to EC2 instance, which is present in Hyderabad only for the customers. Now, what benefit in this case customer is getting? First of all, latency is very low because Mumbai customers are accessing data from Mumbai geographical location only. Hyderabad customers are accessing data from Hyderabad application only, or Hyderabad EC2 instance only. But for some reason, if this traffic, if Mumbai goes down, if this goes down, then what happens? Customer can be routed to this EC2 instance, which is present in Hyderabad. But there is a drawback in this. So this is the advantage. Yes, it is possible to create multiple EC2 instances in multiple different geographical locations, and in the normal situation, customers from one region will be accessing application which is hosted on that specific region. Customer from another location will be accessing to application which is hosted on in that region only. In normal situation, it's possible, and in some disaster recovery situation, traffic gets routed. Yes, possible. What is the drawback in this? The drawback is, I'm pretty much sure you have seen this. It's google.in, google.us. Let me just show you once. So now, if I type google.in, it's routing me to google.com. Google.us, still routing me to Google. So both are a valid domain. Google.in is also a valid domain. Google.us is also a valid domain. Now, what is happening in this case? What Google has done, I'll give you a kind of high level situation because same thing I'm going to explain you in few minutes in lab also. So now what is happening in this case? What you have seen now, Google.in is a valid domain. We Indians are using Google.in, not Google.com actually. But US people are using Google.us and not Google.in. Now, what is happening? What is happening? There is something in between to which we call as load balancers. So traffic is coming from for all the users, all the Google users who lives in India. They are their traffic is falling on something to which we call as load balancer, which we call as load balancer. Now, as the traffic is falling on load balancer, it is finally reaching to a server which is known with Google, and it's very high level, which I'm explaining you, google.com. So now what is happening? It's falling here. But it doesn't mean that I'm accessing google.com. It doesn't mean that US people are accessing google.com. They are accessing google.us only, and that is how Google distributes their load. Now, coming back to this problem, the one which I was talking about. Now, consider that when abc.com has hosted its application in EC2, perhaps abc.com has created a separate domain for that, abc.mumbai. And for Hyderabad, they have created abc.hyd only for Hyderabad customers, only for Mumbai. But in this case, there is no load balancer in between. So in case if abc.mumbai goes down, because their data center is not there, I have to reach out to each of the customer and tell them, hey, instead of using abc.mumbai, start using abc.hyderabad. So there is something called load balancer, which is our next topic, which I'm going to talk about, should come in between, so that all the traffic, instead of directly falling into EC2 instance, which is hosting my application, it should fall on load balancer. And it's the responsibility of load balancer now to just route the traffic to respective locations, right? So answering your question, Vaibhav, yes, it is possible. It is possible that I can have one separate EC2 instance in Mumbai and one separate EC2 instance in Hyderabad, but company should have more intelligence so that for some sort of failover, for some sort of disaster, traffic should be routed from one location to another location in a kind of adaptability method, in a kind of automation method.
Yeah.
Got it?
Thank you.
Okay. Now let's come back here. So now when we were talking about scalability, I hope you understood what is scalability. Scalability is something to which we call as increase in count. This is called scalability. Now scalability is always of two types. One is vertical scaling and another is horizontal scaling. Now let's talk about each of the type of scalability. What is vertical scaling and what is horizontal scaling? So scalability is basically of two types. First one is vertical scaling. Vertical scaling. So now what is vertical scaling? I'll give you an example with some business processing organization. For example, let's talk about one call center. Now, in a call center, consider that a new agent joined in. A new call center agent joined in, and the capacity of call center agent is to take 2 calls in an hour. This guy, a new call center agent, consider that a call center. This is a call center agent. Consider that this is agent in a call center. Now, capacity of this agent is to take 2 calls per hour. Now, now here the company, the BPO company, consider that this is a business processing organization. BPO company has hired only one agent which is capable of taking 2 calls per hour. Now the load in this BPO is going high. Now the count of calls which this BPO can expect every hour goes high because of some good product which they started advertising. So now what happened? Instead of this agent, which is capable of taking 2 calls per hour, this BPO has hired another resource, a bigger resource, a bigger resource, not in bigger size, rather than bigger intelligence or capacity. This bigger agent is capable of taking 10 calls per hour. Now its count is increasing. Count from 2 calls per hour to 100 calls per hour increased. But this organization did not hire more agents. Rather than hiring more agents, this organization has hired agent with higher capacity, agent with higher intelligence, one single agent only, even before or after, but the intelligence of agent afterwards is much higher than the one it was before. This kind of scaling is called vertical scaling, wherein we are not increasing the count of EC2 instances, rather we are increasing the capacity of EC2 instances. So rather than consider that previously we have created EC2 instance with lesser configuration, perhaps 1 GB memory or perhaps one vCPU core. But later on, since the load went high, since the capacity which is required by the organization is high, the configuration which is needed for the application is high. In such situation, what company has done? Instead of just working with the EC2 instance of lower configuration, company has created EC2 instance with higher configuration, perhaps maybe 100 GB of memory, maybe 20 virtual CPU, huge capacity. Nowadays, the maximum capacity is, I think, 1 TB of one EC2 instance. Can you imagine? 1 TB is the capacity of one EC2 instance. Such huge capacity even AWS offers at this point of time. This type of scaling is called vertical scalability. But there is a drawback in this. And which all type of application can take care of, can use this kind of scaling? Databases type of applications could use this kind of scaling method, because you don't want your database to be distributed. You want your database to have the capacity to use more and more data, rather than getting distributed onto multiple databases. Always companies want to have a database of bigger size rather than having multiple smaller databases. That helps customer to maintain affinity. Lots of components are there, but in short, companies always tend to maintain one bigger database rather than smaller chunks of database. This kind of application. But Again, vertical scalability is having some drawback. What is the drawback for that? For some reason, if this agent went sick, for some reason, if and it can happen, it's a kind of a natural process. It can happen. If this agent went sick, it's not able to travel, or perhaps its capacity fell down from 10 hour to perhaps, sorry, 10 calls to perhaps 1 call per hour, then what will happen? Then certainly companies are going to face some problem. Same situation can happen here too. For some reason, if the EC2 instance which is hosting such kind of application is not working well, is for some reason is unable to perform well, or some or the other configuration issue came up, in such case this vertical scalability could be a problem, right? But still companies tend to, especially the smaller organizations, I'll say, tend to go into vertical scalability, looking for their instances rather than going multiple count, they go for higher one. But yes, there are certain drawbacks for that. This is called vertical scalability. This process is called vertical scaling. Any doubt in this?
Sorry, you said that this is used in database applications
Yes,
kind of scenario. Can you give me another example, please? That
sure,
vertical scaling is used.
sure. So
Thank you.
vertical scaling is also used in caching, in maybe a Reddish, normally for caching certain situation. Now, what is caching? Caching is specially used in case of a content delivery network or maybe application caching. Real-time example could be, or real-time use case could be, consider that people living in, we do have certain application which is hosted by Amazon.com, which is available only for US citizen. So now certain application, and this is normally quite usually done by Netflix, what it does, certain videos or um, certain maybe video content is only available for US people, but when we try to search from India, it's not available. When I talk to my US friends, they said, "Hey, I got this movie in Netflix," but when I try to search it from my India application, it says that no, it's not available. Now, what happens in this case? So consider that I am also, and that is a worst situation which I spoke about. That is not a good example which I gave. But consider that if I am also able to access that application which is hosted only on US server. So what Netflix has done, Netflix has hosted some application or some video which is on the server which is based out of US only. So some ABC video which Netflix has hosted, it is based out of US servers only. I live in India. I am trying to access same application sitting in some place in India. Now what has happened? My traffic will go to multiple servers or multiple locations, and then finally it will reach to US. So I'm trying to access multiple servers, multiple regions, and finally it will go to US. And from US location, I'll be able to fetch that. Now what is happening for the first time? Say I'm the first of all the Indian customer who try to look for this ABC video, which is only in US location. Now what happens? What Netflix has done, Netflix has a cached server. Now for the next time, perhaps for me, it took lots of time because it went all across different continents, different regions, and finally it reached to Netflix. When I was searching, it took me 1 minute to fetch this data. Now for the, and this is first customer. Now if second customer, now what Netflix has done, as I am able to put it, Netflix has cached that ABC's data in this cache server, which is somewhere in India. This is what Netflix has done. Now when second customer wanted to look for same ABC video, traffic went here. Third customer, when tried to look for the same ABC video, traffic went here. Now, what is happening in this case? Customer count is going to cached server. This type of server is called cached server, which normally all the companies are using nowadays to cache the content which is very far located. And if this server is not there, then for each of the customer there will be huge latency, huge wait time. So customers purchase this, or customer uses this cache server to cache the data which is pulled by first customer, and every other customer relaxes with much low waiting time. Now if the customer increases from 3 to 330,000, what happens? This a cached server or cached database is going to keep adding the count of the transactions of the query of all the 30,000 servers in their cached database only. This kind of database, this kind of configuration, this kind of cached server also relies on vertical scaling, wherein they keep on adding their customer count, customer query. They're on the cached server, only one cached server. And each of the customer count, customer query is getting appended one after the other in the same cached server. This could also be another example of cached server, and the server which normally companies uses in such case is a Redis cache. You will hear this term a lot whenever we talk about cached configurations. This could be one of the another example. Did you get it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, that was good explaining.
Cool. Any other question? Cool. So now this is vertical scaling. Now what happens in case of horizontal scaling? In case of horizontal scaling, coming back to same BPO example, in case of horizontal scaling, what company has done, company instead of, again, they had one agent, and this agent was capable of working at the rate of two calls per hour. Now company had the requirement of 10 calls per hour. So what this company has done, company has hired 5 similar resources of same kind. Company has hired 5 similar resources of same kind who has the capacity of taking taking 2 calls per hour. Now, what happened in this case? In this case, company's requirement is fulfilled in the first place. Second thing is, for some reason, if any of the agent fell sick, still the count could be, or the load could be shared somehow the other to other customer. So in short, companies are not getting that huge impact, even though any specific agent is not working properly. Same thing is can be seen in our EC2 instances also. So now the situation before could be there are only 2 EC2 instances, and after could be increase in count of EC2 instances as load goes high. Normally any of the organization which you can think about, Amazon.com or any of the e-commerce website, any of the data hosting website, any of the video hosting website, any of the application which you can think about uses horizontal scaling a lot. For example, now, again, coming back to the first example which I spoke about, in any festive season, if the customer count goes high from 10 to say 100, then instead of creating a single virtual machine of bigger configuration, huge size, what Amazon will do? Amazon will create more number of instances and will distribute, will host same, or will deploy same application on all the 10 instances, so that their customers queries requirement is fulfilled, so that even though if any of the instance is not working properly, then also they will be able to manage work, they will be able to handle load by distributing it across all the healthy nodes, all the healthy virtual machines. Horizontal scaling is more used nowadays, and it is also highly used when we talk about anyways, 2 different data centers can work properly with vertical scaling also. And in horizontal scaling also, we can have 2 data centers. One data center is having bigger size of one instance, another data center can have bigger size of another instance, and it can happen. So different data centers can work well in both vertical scaling as well as horizontal scaling. But the benefit of horizontal scaling is horizontal scaling, even though if any of the virtual machine is unhealthy, still the business can run well, still the business can survive well. Right? This is called horizontal scaling. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Okay, now let's see something to which I was talking about, which is called load balancer. So now what is load balancer? Load balancer, the way I was explaining before, load balancer is something which is host, which is taking which is distributing the load, like the name says, load distributor. So load balancing in terms of theory, I can say this is load balancing in very high level. This is load balancing. This is load balancing, wherein customers query is first falling into a load balancing server, a server which is just taking all the query and then routing it to different places, then routing it to different applications. What is the advantage? Even though if we do have different domains, different .ins, .us, .uk, .sg, .se, different domains are there, it is not going to impact business, because customer will never get to know where their traffic is going, because I don't know, being an Indian Google customer, where my traffic is going. I'm just typing google.in and taking me to google.com. I think Amazon also hosts quite the same thing. So for example, if I talk about amazon.in, you see it's opening me amazon.in, and it's giving me my Hyderabad address. And if I talk about amazon.us, then it will take me to, okay, it's not even accessible from here. So but I think Sakil, if you'll try to access, perhaps it exists there for us locations. So there are different domains, there could be different domains which these companies comes up with, but I, being a customer, never get to know where my traffic is falling, because there is something in between, to which we call as load balancer. It is just routing the traffic to whatever location they have set the logic into. This load balancer's main job is to hide the backend complexity from customer. Customer just needs business product. They do not want to get into technicalities where traffic is falling, how the network is getting routed, how we have configured EC2 instances. Perhaps they even don't know what EC2 instances are. They just want to purchase watch or purchase TV or purchase some electronic equipments. They just want that. The service which AWS offers, or the service which companies uses in such situation, is called load balancer. Now there are two ways to host load balancers. What age old process is, companies used to manage their own load balancers. So what companies used to do, and that was a kind of decade old way, the older method is companies were managing their own load balancers. So this is company managed, company managed, managed load balancer. So companies were managing their own load balancer. Companies were taking care of every complexities, which domain will route traffic to where. So many things were completely managed by company, which is a kind of very tedious task. It's very complicated. It could be cheaper if companies are managing their own load balancer. It could be cheaper, but it can be lots of work which companies has to do in order to manage, in order to function it properly. AWS came, and AWS says that I'm going to offer a load balancer to you in the form of managed service. Managed service also, you can in the form of managed service. So what is managed service? Managed service is a service which is offered by AWS to customers, which is completely managed by AWS. if load balancer goes off for some reason, if customers traffic is not able to route properly for some reason, then the penalty has to be paid by AWS. Then it's entirely AWS's responsibility. Such kind of service which AWS offers to its customers uh, is called managed service, which is completely managed by AWS. You just need to define where the traffic has to get routed. So load balancer, which AWS offers, is managed by AWS only. We, being a customer, only is going to define those EC2 instances where my application is hosted. We'll see that in our demo also. So AWS offers the kind of load balancer which AWS offers is called Elastic Load Balancer. Elastic Load Balancer. This is the term which AWS gave when they were offering load balancer, which is called Elastic Load Balancer, and this is the load balancer which is completely managed by AWS. This elastic load balancer is of three types basically. First is application load balancer. Application load balancer. Second is network load balancer. And third is gateway load balancer. Gateway load balancer. We focus more on this application load balancer because we being a DevOps customers, so DevOps engineers work only on application load balancer. Network load balancer is specially taken care by networking engineers and not a problem of DevOps person. Gateway load balancer is taken care by networking and security engineers. Security engineers, because here we mostly talk about firewall and those DDoS attacks and different kind of attacks which falls on customers application. So we mostly deal with application load balancer, though I'll give you theoretical knowledge about network and gateway also, but in practicals we'll see only application load balancer. So to summarize, AWS offers a load balancer in the form of a managed service which is completely managed, completely handled by AWS only. They are responsible of every server which is routing traffic. What we have to do being a customer, we have to just define which all instances our traffic will be routed up to, which all instances, how the traffic, and the kind of intelligence which AWS has is, for some reason, if my instance which I defined is unhealthy, it's the responsibility of AWS load balancer not to route traffic in that EC2 instances. Because if they are routing and there is fall in traffic, then again AWS has to pay penalty to customers. It's completely managed by AWS. These load balancers are of three types. When AWS offers this load balancer, AWS offers with the name of Elastic Load Balancer. That is the selling term which AWS uses while they're offering load balancer to customer. They say that on the name of Elastic Load Balancer, I'll sell you load balancer, and this load balancer you can choose out of the three options: application load balancer to manage your application, network load balancer, and gateway load balancer. Application load balancer works on layer 7 of OSI model, layer 7 of OSI model. Network load balancer works on layer 3, which is TLS, SSL, and gateway load balancer, I think it also works on layer 3 of OSI model. So these are the things which is completely a part of your load balancer. We'll talk about practicals and demo in our tomorrow's session. Any doubt in this? Any questions?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm good.
Cool. Any question? Ashwini, Vaibhav, any question till here?
No, sir, I'm fine.
Sir, just quick question. So when you were talking about the cache server,
Okay.
so are those cache server like dedicated server or used for caching purpose only?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Redis
All right.
cache. AWS, Azure,
Oh,
every cloud vendors are selling it.
okay. Okay, that's good to know, sir. Yeah, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Sir, a small request, like, can you also provide us the study material of these things, like
Yeah, I'll share you the
in
link.
the PDF format, so that we can, prepare our documents, or some
Fine.
interview tips that you can, on every day, every session, you can provide us, like the question they would ask to us, because we are
Yeah,
new on this profile and we don't know what type of question they will ask.
I think those links will be because these are like all the AWS related content. So what I'll do is I'll share you the link. And what the AWS does is AWS has a very good documentation. Those are in PDF format only. So not the
Okay.
PDF which you can open in your laptop, but
Mhm.
the PDF which you can open on the browser itself. So I'll share you the link.
Ashwin, what were you asking about the interview questions?
Yeah, just for the
Oh,
interview purpose, like for AWS profile, DevOps, what would be the question for us?
yeah,
We know networking questions and networking things,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
what they are going to ask, but
Yeah,
for
I
I'll
was
share.
this
actually
profile,
thinking about that too,
different.
that what kind of questions they ask. This is something new. I have never faced this before. First time learning AWS and DevOps. So yeah, and also like what we need to add in our resume. So that's another thing I would like to know.
Perhaps once we complete the session, later we'll see what you
Okay.
can add in your resume based on what actually you're looking for when you're applying a job. Because I'll tell you something. Because nowadays a resume contains lots of things, but when we interview them, we find that the skill is not matching um, resume content, which is not a good thing, which is a kind of negative impression on the candidate in the first place. So always it's good to put all the skills which you know in your resume. So what we'll do is by the end of the session, based on what sort of skills you are able to gain, because perhaps after this session you will start applying for the jobs immediately. So by the end of the session, we'll see what sort of skills you do have, what sort of knowledge you have gained. Based on that, you create a resume, which I'll guide you into, which you can
Thank you,
just
sir.
prepare and you could just publish it
Sir,
between
what
you.
does the market look like for AWS
It's
job openings?
it's huge, I'll say. AWS, anyone who knows AWS and DevOps because DevOps is more about automation. So AWS along with DevOps is
Yeah,
actually having.
DevOps is very good, but
Mhm.
networking positions, they're getting faded in America. There is barely any networking jobs,
Yeah,
and that's the reason I'm going for cloud and DevOps. So DevOps, there's tons of jobs.
I think even networking opportunity is there, but networking not on-premise, networking on cloud. Because whatever term you have
Yeah,
used, SD-WAN,
exactly.
BGP, whatever term you said, everything is there on AWS also. So instead of you managing everything manually for customers,
Yeah, those
now,
days are gone.
right, those days are gone. Now every customer is expecting you to have knowledge of how to configure same sort of thing on AWS Management Console. So it's,
Yeah,
it's
or
more like,
SD and stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
I
and
know
the requirement of,
I've been sitting jobless for
yeah,
very, very long time.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just because the networking jobs
And
are
its
just,
scope is huge. I'll tell you, anyone who has good knowledge in AWS networking, because there are very less networking expert who has knowledge on AWS Management Console, who has knowledge on AWS networking components. Very less are there. I'll tell you, even when we interview and we try to look for network, because networking is not only about you have created a subnet or you have created a VPC or you have
yes,
created a private cloud. It's much wider than that. It's like you have to understand all the cider ranges. When we talk about octets, they're in cider ranges. You have to decide
yes,
that. You have to understand how your cider ranges are not getting overlapped. If you are talking about merger of two companies, then perhaps one company is using same CIDR range like other companies. In case some overlapping, and there are chances overlapping will happen, then you being a networking engineer, how will you manage it? If you have to establish communication in between on-premise, one on-premise data center to another on-premise data center, or in between on-premise to cloud, then how you will establish that communication? You will have to have BGP in between, various sort of VPNs you have to create in between. So networking is not only about you have created a subnet and your job is done. It's much more than that. And there are very less candidates who has good knowledge in networking as well as in cloud at
Yes,
this
that's
point of time.
true. If they need someone that they need like
Right.
at a very senior level,
Yeah.
like level 4,
Yeah.
CCIE kind of stuff.
You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A very senior level who can
Sir,
just design
do you
everything.
also so you said you work in cloud domain, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you also deal with like US companies and stuff like this, or
Yeah. 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 I
okay,
deal with, yes.
okay. Sir, if you see any job leads here in US, so please keep us posted.
Sure. Frankly, at this point, it's
Well,
lesser. It's very less, I'll say. I know because of lots of things which is going on in US. But I think next year things will open. After this government change, we were expecting things to be better, but did not change much. Openings and opportunities are less in US at this point in time. I
yeah,
completely
you're
agree.
right.
But
We have more than 3 years to go before
yeah, yeah,
before the elections.
right.
That
But
is
Yeah,
also
it's
impacting
very bad.
India.
Its market is so bad here. You have no idea. I've been sitting for more than a year with no job.
yeah, I completely agree. And it's bad there in US. But I think next year we're hoping that things will be better. Let's see.
I hope so, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, sir.
sir, one quick thing as well. Like the automation tools which we are going to learn, those the similar tools we can also use on the Azure platform as well, right?
Yes. Same you can use in Azure also.
Okay, because I got no access in my environment on Azure. AWS they haven't provided, but Azure at least I got read-only access. So
See, this is what I was talking about, that the initial AWS Management Console when I was covering, people don't
Yeah.
have access on AWS Management Console. And similarly, like Azure Console, Azure Portal, we call
Yeah.
AWS Management Console, and for Azure, we call Azure Portal. So, so we don't have access. Like the way Web does not have even access to
Yeah.
create any resource on Azure Portal. We can do that by using command line. Yes, we are going to learn Terraform. And Terraform, like in Azure, just for your knowledge, however, in
Yeah.
Azure we have Bicep, ARM, and Terraform. These are
Okay.
the three different automation framework which we use. Terraform is the widely used one in Azure also. So we are going to learn Terraform in our session.
yeah.
Any other question? Okay, I'll think that is a no. Let's meet again tomorrow and we'll see practicals on load balancer and we'll see practicals on auto scaling in our upcoming sessions this week. So this week by Wednesday, Thursday, I'm hoping to complete our AWS and then we'll move into our first topic in DevOps, which will be Git. Git will be our first topic, which I'll be starting in DevOps. So yeah, I hope by Friday I'll be able to start that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Before you just a question. Do we need to go with the AWS solution architect as well for DevOps?
No.
No,
Solution
it's a
architect,
separate
no,
thing.
only yeah. See,
Sir.
solution architect is much bigger thing. You
Okay,
do not
much bigger
need to.
thing.
Yeah,
So
you-
what's the basic certification for AWS?
it's AWS DevOps Associate is there, which is the basic one for AWS.
No,
Or
that's a
AW,
DevOps, I think.
AWS only AWS practitioner is there, I think.
Practitioner. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
practitioner.
AWS practitioner.
Yeah, practitioner is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the basic certification for DevOps?
AWS DevOps Associate.
Okay, sir.
It's instead of this, go for DevOps associate.
Do you know the price of the exam?
Not more than $200.
150 USD, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
not more than
150.
any exam in AWS is not more than $200.
Okay, that's good to know.
oh, okay, so solution architect is much bigger thing than the DevOps, right?
Solution
Okay.
architect in any field is much bigger than any of the engineering. See, DevOps, we are engineer. Solution architect
Okay.
is designing everything. So you have to have in-depth knowledge in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I, being a solution architect, can't say that I don't know anything in networking, or I don't know anything in compute, or I don't know anything in databases. Companies are expecting me to know everything, and that's huge. So if I talk about load balancer, you have to know everything in load balancer. How to route traffic, what are the listeners you should have, which port, which protocol you will follow. You have to know everything. Solution architect is much bigger role. You have to have experience of at least 18 to 19 years to become a solution architect.
Wow.
It's like CC, more than CC
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
in
it's our
networking tools.
next goal. It's my next goal. Solution architect. I will go for
Gotcha.
it.
Cool. Let's join again tomorrow. Thank
All
you,
right,
everyone.
thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
bye-bye. Bye.